every pathway to assert that Line 5 is important bi-national pipeline protected by the treaty, whose shutdown would have grave impacts for both the United States and Canada. Time is of the essence. We need to work together to ensure that both sides of the border continue to have safe, affordable, and a reliable supply of energy. Thank you again for your leadership and your continued support on Line 5.
Thank you, Mr. Yu. We'll now start the first round of questions. First person is Ms. Gladu for 6 minutes, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Yu, for appearing today as the member for Sarnia-Lambton. Clearly, my riding will be impacted if Line 5 is shut down. We'll lose more than 20,000 jobs, and that's just in my community alone. So I heard you talk about the binational solution that you believe will help come to an answer here. With all of the different states involved, are you convinced that it's President Biden that will have the power to bring the governor into line, and that it's up to our Prime Minister to call for that?
Well, I think there's multiple avenues that we're proceeding on to keep the pipeline operating until we see the tunnel completed. So the first thing, obviously, that we're working on is within the United States to have the safety and reliability of the pipeline regulated by the U.S. federal government, which we believe is the proper form of regulation. The U.S. regulator, who is responsible for pipelines, has indicated numerous times that the pipeline is safe and fit for service. So obviously, I think it's very important for us to convince the U.S. federal government that that's the proper way. And one of the things that we're requesting of the government of Canada is to provide support in our federal court filings to ensure that it's understood that this should be in federal jurisdiction. We will also ask for the provinces to support the federal government in these assertions. Having said all that, obviously we would like to continue to work with the state because we believe the pipeline is critical for the entire Great Lakes region. So Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and other states, as well as Ontario and Quebec. So I think it's a matter of reinforcing the critical nature of this asset and to the energy security for the entire Great Lakes region.
Right, and to be clear, it's a federal treaty that put it into, permitted its existence, and so it's really for the federal government in the U.S. To rule if it comes to that.
We believe so.
And could you give me a brief history of the legal interaction between Governor Whitmer and Enbridge?
So I think this latest controversy started in November. I believe it was on November 13th, where the governor filed in Michigan State Court that the state of Michigan believed we were in violation of the safety aspects covered by the 1953 easement, where in the 1953 easement, we have to take duty of care to ensure that the pipeline is operating reasonably.
But to be clear, you said that in over 65 years, there's been no environmental impact, and I believe it's the
That's
EPA
correct.
and the federal safety and the state of Michigan that verify you as well every year. Is that true?
Yeah, I think the state is claiming that we're in non-compliance of the easement. We have vigorously filed in U.S. federal court that we are in full compliance of the easement and in full compliance with the U.S. federal regulator, which is the Pipelines Hazardous Materials Safety Agency, PHMSA, that we are operating the pipeline safely and reliably. The pipeline has been in service for over 65 years with no incidents on the straits.
And there's one thing that I did read from Ambassador Hillman, who's been trying to negotiate, and he was in discussions between Michigan and the governor, and he said his discussions have broken down. Can you shed any light on that?
I believe Ambassador Hillman had tried to open a channel for dialogue with the governor. And I believe my understanding is the governor was not open to having any dialogue.
And I know Minister O'Regan has been trying to get a meeting as well with Governor Whitmer unsuccessfully, but I think Catherine McKenna was able to get a meeting. Did you have any interaction to find out what the result of that meeting was?
I have not heard about that particular meeting.
All right. Do I still have some time, Chair? Good. Could you describe the impact to your customers and what they are telling you will happen if Line 5 goes down?
So if Line 5 is shut down, our customers will lose about 50% of the crude oil that they need to run at their refineries. So that would be refineries in Michigan, in Ohio, in Ontario, Quebec, Pennsylvania, and Indiana.
And what are the alternatives for them?
In the near term, there are no immediate alternatives to replace 540,000 barrels a day of crude oil and natural gas liquids. In the longer term, you would have to build rail offloading facilities and truck offloading facilities in those states and provinces to replace the pipeline. Obviously, that takes time. You need to find a site, you need permits, and you have to build that infrastructure. Along with that, you would have to build new rail cars that are specially designed for crude oil or NGL. Those rail cars aren't available right now. And you would also have to build new trucks to carry all that crude and natural gas liquids to market. So a shutdown of Line 5 would cause an immediate shortage of energy in the region. It would drive prices up very significantly. And the replacement of that would be years away.
Thank you, Ms. Gladu. We'll go now to Mr. Housefather for 6 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Yu, thank you for being before the committee today. I want to say how strongly I feel that the Government of Canada and members of this committee have to do everything in our power with the Team Canada approach to keep Line 5 operational. So we are with you in this. I'd like to just get some things into the record of the committee. So I'd ask for some brief answers because there's some facts I want to make sure we have when we question future witnesses, if that's okay.
Sure.
So, Mr. Yu, Line 5 is 645 miles that runs from Wisconsin to Michigan's Upper Peninsula to the Lower Peninsula to Ontario. But the only area that is covered by the disputed easement is the 4-mile dual pipeline stretch running under the Straits of Mackinac. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the easement, as Ms. Gladu has said, has been in place since 1953, and there has never been any product released into the Straits of Mackinac. Is that correct?
Yes.
And would it be correct to say that the action taken by Michigan to terminate the easement was based purely on speculative fears and no concrete evidence of any product that ever was released?
That is correct.
And would it be correct to say that a study was done showing the dual structure pipeline has a risk of failure of less than 0.05% per year, less than 1 in 2,000 times?
That is correct.
And would it also be correct that since the easement was granted, the U.S. Congress adopted the Pipeline Safety Act, which is administered by PHMSA and should be responsible for safety standards for interstate and international pipelines such as this one?
Yes.
So,
don't forget to like, dislike, subscribe, and comment. Safe Space Cafe. And always, have a good day.